Hello guys, how's it going? Anyway, let me see. Tuesday. Yep, Tuesday. And missing chivalry. So, chivalry. A lot of people and a lot of women and some men bemoan the fact that, where are all the real men? So-called alpha males and whatnot. And just about where they're at. Why aren't they being more chivalrous? Why don't they see them? Well, here's the thing. Some of the behaviours that chivalrous people do are now, denoted or condemned as being toxic, such as opening doors, helping with carrying heavy stuff, and I find it quite funny because the fact that a lot of women or people will say, oh my God, that's demeaning, what do you think, I am weak or something like that. I said, well, that depends on your framework, where you're coming from. When a lot of these behaviours are there, they are done out of respect. I remember having a friend who didn't like the fact that her boyfriend at the time, being French, would open doors, automatically try and help her with her bag and all sorts of other stuff. And she's like, oh, I felt so demeaned. And so I said, well, don't you think that you feel a bit well taken care of, that they have consideration for you and your health, and they if there's any heavy lifting or so-called dirty work to be done, such as carrying your bags, that they're willing to do it. And when you think about it in a DS sort of sense, that they're helping to serve you and that they're your servants in a way that they don't want you to do, or they don't like the fact that you might hurt yourself carrying heavy things, that perhaps they're showing respect and maybe copping a perv when they open a door for you and let you walk in first. A lot of gentlemen do this, unless of course you're going into a darkened area, in which case they go, okay, she might be attacked, I'll go first. They'll put themselves on the line for you, their physical health, in consideration for yours. So I put a link in something I called I am about being chivalrous behaviour and what guys have been told they should do, even though they've been told, don't do that. Like opening doors. One of the best ones is, seating, where you have guys who don't get up for seats because, well, they get yelled at because, how dare you get up from a seat, what do I look like, a weak woman? But then when they're tired, they'll say, hey, why don't you get up from the seat for me? I'm like, well, how's a guy supposed to know, that they're supposed to be able to read your mind and know what sort of a day you've had? Traditionally, men would, whenever a woman entered the room, gentlemen would stand up and all together stand up, and when a woman entered the room, if she sat down, they sat down. When she sat down, if she even stood up to go anywhere, they would automatically stand when she did, and a sign of respect and courtesy for that. So when you think about it that way, you think, okay, were women really disrespected? Some say, okay, well, they were thought of as chattel and that, and I don't disagree that that would have been some of the attitude at the time. However, within that, just as in BDSM, when they talk about slaves and owned property, are you talking about property that's just mine and that's just it, like a hoarder? Or are you talking about property that's yours, that is a highly well thought of collector's piece? Fanboys, fangirls, the precious Ming vase and stuff like that. So when you think about it that way, it's not really a weak thing, but the chivalry is missing. There's some chivalry now, but I don't know whether it's all for show or not, but ingrained chivalry, the ones that a lot of the traditional males have been brought up, there's a lot of people would call toxic stuff. toxic masculinity and all that sort of stuff. They think that, you know, it's demeaning to a woman. I don't think so for myself. That's not the way, not the context and the train of thought that I would think of. Because if it's just looking at their actions and they automatically do it, if it's consistent, it is something a part of their upbringing. If it is done and in certain contexts, then it could be demeaning, and the fact that some guys do have that attitude that they think women are weak. But again, that's not always a bad thing, because I mean, girls, even though you can do it, doesn't mean you have to do it. And if you can let the boys do some of the hard work, you know, it benefits both of you. It means that you don't have to get hot and sweaty. The guys, you know, in general, a lot of guys are more physical, and some of them, they like to burn off excess energy by actually doing things. A lot of guys are doers. And it also makes them feel useful and loved to say, look, okay, I'm looking after, you know, a friend or my partner. Makes them feel useful. And that helps them in a way that, you know, probably wouldn't understand, in the fact that you don't feel that they feel like they've got a place in the world, I guess. So it benefits a lot of people, but again, it depends on your dynamics with your friends and family. So when you're thinking about chivalry, you're going on about, you know, why aren't they more chivalrous? Why don't they hold out a chair for me? Why don't they wait until I sit down? Quite often, there's subtle things like we do in DS, such as, you know, they don't start eating until you do. Just little things like that. Anyways, your thoughts. Is chivalry dead? Have you seen chivalrous behaviour? Do you have elements of that in your relationship? In particular, when people talk about my lifestyle and the BDSM, they think, you know, you can't be chivalrous to a slave or a property. That is totally untrue. Totally up to the people in their dynamic, because they do, the ones that are in the long term 24/7, and not even just that, but they do have consideration for their partners, because at the end of the day, it is still another relationship. It is still a relationship between people. The fact that it has to do with kink and not vanilla doesn't change that at all. The respect goes both ways, not just one or the other. Anyway, hi Nixie, morning. Anyways, soon there is going to be the Buddha's birthday festival, so that'll be awesome. If you're in South Bank, check it out. They've always had these, see the lanterns up there? And that'll be fun. Lots of vegetarian stuff. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later. You have an awesome, awesome Tuesday, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Well, tomorrow, that is. Bye.